Welcome to the glute series to figure out which glute stretch do you need. You got the glute maximus, medius, and minimus. So here we go. So this first one, you're gonna need a stretching strap. If you don't have one of these, you can grab a long towel, perfectly fine. You're gonna lay on your back. So we're gonna start with the right foot. You're gonna hook your foot into one of the loops. If you have a towel, just wrap the towel around your foot. So right leg is gonna be up, left leg flat on the ground. If you do have lower back issues, you can bend the left leg or the left knee if you have to. Otherwise, it's nice and straight. Left hand's gonna grab the strap. Right arm's gonna come by the right ear. If this hurts the right arm, maybe a little bit higher. If it still hurts, put it where it's comfortable for now, but eventually it's by the ear. So you're gonna turn both legs inward. This is gonna be for the glute max, more superficial muscles. We'll do the deep muscles right after this. So both legs turned in. I'm gonna gently flex the feet, both of them. You're going to keep this right butt down. So your right butt's almost going to pull down and out to the right, as then you very gently start to pull your right foot towards that left shoulder. So by resisting with the butt pulling down and the leg going back, you're going to build some tension. If you don't feel it in the glute, it's okay. We're going to get this whole chain that works together to release. As this all releases, then it could get into the glute. So with the right arm, it's not just there, it's going to reach. So I want you to reach with the right arm, feel like it pulls the shoulder and the rib cage. And as you do that, you're gonna push the hip away from the shoulder. So we're lengthening through the torso to build more tension through that glute. You just keep pulling, keep lengthening, constantly trying to go a little further. And as I'm pulling, I am pushing my heel up and still pulling my butt down. So I'm still trying to create length as I'm pulling on the strap. Still reaching through right arm, right shoulder, still turning the legs in. And then feel like your hips are trying to push over to the right, or almost like they're rotating down to feel that extra tension. Give me one more big breath here. And then you want to gently, slowly release out of that. So your working time is about 30, 40 seconds. Or if you want to go a little bit longer, it's okay. I wouldn't go longer than a minute. Let's switch over to the left foot. So left leg's going to be up, right leg on the ground. Both legs straight again, unless you got lower back issues, you can bend that right knee. Right hand only holding on, left arm by left ear. If that hurts, maybe higher. If it still hurts, just put it where it's comfortable. But eventually it's by the ear. So again, both legs turned in, flex the feet. Keep that left butt down on the ground. And then very gently pull your left foot towards right shoulder. So your leg should go across the body a little bit while keeping that butt down on the ground. Don't let that butt come up. So reach through left arm, left ribs, the length of the left torso, leg and left hip. Keep trying to push that butt down into the left. Keep turning those legs in and keep pulling on the strap. And as you keep pulling, keep pushing that left heel upward, keep pulling that butt downward. Create more length, more tension, as long as there's no pain. Keep reaching through that left arm and shoulder, pushing that butt down to the left. And make sure you breathe. Both legs still turned in. And again, 30, 40 seconds of work. We're just going to do one more big breath here, and then you'll slowly release out of that. We may be going a little quicker in the video, so if you need to go longer, that's fine. Now, that was the superficial glute max. Maybe you don't need it, maybe you do. Next one's going to be deeper muscles. A lot of you might know it as a figure 4 stretch. So you're going to cross right foot over left, or right ankle over left knee. If you still need your strap, you can use it. But eventually you want your hands behind this left leg while keeping the head and shoulders down. If you can't keep the head and shoulders down, that's when you can use the strap or a towel, wrap that around the left leg, and that's what you're going to pull on. Because I need your head down. If you don't need it, put it off to the side. So you're going to start to pull left knee towards your chest. Don't pull too much because I need your butt to almost roll away from the chest. So I need your butt to stay down, rolling away from the body as you pull that left knee to you, just to keep your spine neutral. Then you work that right knee. So you're going to push right knee away from the chest, try to lift it up towards the ceiling, and then trying to pull it out to the right side. So from knee all the way into the hip, everything's connected, and the knee is just trying to pull away from everything to create more tension. So I'm constantly pulling on left leg, making sure my butt's staying down on the ground, and then I'm just working my right knee. So my right arm's long enough. I'm actually using my elbow a little bit to help. If you want to use your hand, be my guest, but focus on the body doing the work, not just your hand or elbow. All right, just give me one more big breath. Keep working. Then exhale, slowly release out of that, and we're going to switch. So bring one foot down, then the other. And cross the left ankle over right knee. And again, if you need that strap or your towel, grab it. But eventually you want the hands behind your right leg. So gently start to pull in the right leg. And then keep that butt down and almost tilting or rolling away from the chest, just to keep that spine neutral. Flex those feet. And once you have some good tension, you really can't go any further. This is when you start to work that left knee. You push it away from the chest, up towards the ceiling, and then over to the left side. So again, I'm able to use my left elbow for a little bit of leverage to help. If you want to try to use your left hand, go for it. Just make sure your hips and spine are neutral. You're not twisting anything. Your spine's not curling up. It's laying flat. So sometimes if we use extra tension, that's when things go out of alignment. So always focus on the alignment while you're working into it. So in this position, from your knee all the way into your hip, a chain of muscles are connected to get this deep glute muscle. Could even get the piriformis to open up a little bit. Let's go one more big breath. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly release out of that. And you bring right foot down, and you bring your left foot down. So both of those were for the glute max, which is one of the bigger butt muscles that we have. Now we're going to get the glute medius. So we sit on up. So the glute medius kind of sits right here, right on the side of that hip, right? It sits on top of the glute minimus. Glute minimus is behind it all. So doing this movement could actually get both of them, but it's really designed for the medius. So we're sitting upright, both legs are straight ahead. And since we're working, we're going to do the right one first. You're going to bend your right knee. Now, I want you to have this right foot on the outside of that left knee, but it has to be flat on the ground. If you can't be flat on the ground, you can start on the inside of your knee. But eventually, get it outside. Just builds more tension. So once that's there, your left arm is going to hug this right knee. Right hand on the ground behind you here, and you're going to sit tall. So I'm using my right hand to lift my spine up. Your left leg, you're going to flex the foot, and you're going to rotate left leg in. So my torso is trying to turn over towards the right, create a little bit more tension. So I'm going to keep pulling my right knee across to the left side of my body, gently, not too strong. And as I do that, my right hip is going to rotate backwards. So let right knee go in left. So I'm pulling on all this muscle tissue right here and the fascia. And then I'm trying to pull my hip backwards as I get taller to create more tension. So all that tension, it could be anywhere from the outside of your knee through the hip, maybe even into this lower back. So just because you're not feeling it on the glute medius doesn't mean this is not something you need. Okay, so all this connection works together. So you're sitting here, but now as we start to rotate the right hip back, sometimes it wants to lift up. So kind of push down to the right with your hip. Maybe even your torso kind of shifts that way as you stay taller. Keep pulling on that right knee. Keep rotating the hips. You do it. Let's go one more big breath. And then as you exhale, gently release. Allow all this tissue to come back to normal. Then we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to stay at this angle just so you can see it from a different point of view. Maybe you can see the bodysuit stretching in different ways from this angle. So left knee bends. Again, if you can bring left foot on the outside of your right knee, get it there. If it can't go on the outside, let's bring it on the inside because I want it flat. But eventually we want it outside. Right arm's going to hug this left knee. Left hand on the ground behind you, and you're sitting tall. So I'm using my left hand to sit tall. So even this right leg is going to be working. So I'm going to flex the foot, and I'm turning the right leg in, building all this tension all through here. Okay? So I'm pulling that left knee to the right, turning my torso to the left, and I'm sitting tall. So I keep pulling my left knee. Now my left hip or left butt's going to rotate backwards. And as that happens, you should almost feel that right leg automatically lengthen because the hips, both hips are twisted. Left hip going backwards, right hip going forward, create more tension. And as we rotate, remember, the hip might want to lift up. So push your left hip down to the left, maybe even shift your torso to the left as you keep twisting. Probably going to feel different on each side, but you always want to do both sides. So keep lifting, keep breathing, keep trying to twist. lengthen, build that tension across the entire body, the entire chain of muscles. Keep rotating the left hip back as the right hip goes forward. Let's go one more big breath. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly ease out of that. I'm going to go legs straight ahead. So again, glute medius, potentially the minimus as well. But now we're going to move into glute minimus. So you don't need to strap, put that off to the side. This next alignment is going to be what is known as 90-90. So you're going to pretty much make a box in front of you. My knees are bent at about 90-degree angle. Hips are about 90-degree angle as well. If you have knee issues, please be very careful. You may use yoga blocks underneath the knee or some kind of paddings. That way the knees don't go down too much. So if there's any pain in the knee, maybe give some support underneath the knee. That could help. All right, so this is going to be the glute minimus. We're going to be getting the right side. So whatever foot that's behind you, that's the side that we're going to be working on. So in 90-90, the foot that's behind you, that hip is actually going to go into internal rotation. So since right foot's behind me, we're working this right side. Feel like that hip is almost trying to turn inward. As that right hip turns in, left hip's going to turn out. So you get this oppositional rotation through the hips. So right arm's going to be working one. So I'm going to keep left hand on the ground, bring in right arm here. So you want to try to get both butt cheeks down on the ground. It's going to be very difficult at first. Just keep practicing, but make sure the spine's pretty vertical or pretty straight. So if the hips are off the ground, you might be leaning a little bit to keep that spine straight. As you get the hips down on the ground, the spine's going to be more vertical. Okay? So think of the spine and the hips. It's like they're perpendicular. So if the hips are tilted, I want your spine slightly tilted. Now, you're going to lift. Again, right hip internally rotated, left hip external. Feel the knees literally driving away from each other, which will also help with the hips. I'm going to turn my torso to the left, and I'm reaching through this right arm. The second I reach, all this tissue starts to pull into my hip. So that's why we do all this stuff with the arms. It's to create that tension and to create a little bit more rotation. So I'm pushing. I'm literally feeling like my entire right back is twisting around to the front of me, giving me more tension. Still pushing my knees out of the hips. Feeling this right hip turn in, left hip turning outward or turning backwards. And I'm breathing. I'm lifting tall, trying to keep my right butt going down and away from where my arm is reaching. Let's do another 2 deep breaths in. The setup is very difficult for this one, as well as the work. So one more big breath, and then slowly, gently release out of that. Not an easy one whatsoever. So just keep practicing, keep visualizing. If you do need to close your eyes to kind of feel what's going on, do it. You might feel like you're almost stuck. It took me a little while to get that leg out. And we're going to switch. So switching sides. So now the left foot's behind you. So this is a little bit tighter for me. I can feel like my hips off the ground a little bit. So I might not be in that perfect alignment. And you're going to feel that as well. Just get as close to proper alignment as you can. So with the left foot back, we're going to be working this glute minimus over here. So left foot back, which means left hip turning inward. All right, so from the back, it's turning in towards the groin. Right hip turning backwards. My knees are pushing out of my hips. My right hand's going to be on the ground to help me stabilize a little bit better. So left arm straight out front. I'm going to push to the left arm, and then I'm going to turn my torso to the right. I'm going to hinge slightly to the right. But as I hinge, so wherever I'm reaching, that butt or that muscle we're trying to get, the chain, it's trying to go opposite. So my left hip, yes, it's turning in, but it's trying to go down and left as my left arm is reaching to the right, creating all that tension from the arm through the shoulder, through the ribs, all the way into the hip. Pushing my legs down and out. Feeling that left hip turning inward, right hip turning backwards. I'm lifting my spine, hinging, keeping that left butt down as much as I can. And I'm building that tension by reaching through the arm and by breathing deep. When I breathe, it really expands. You might not be able to see it, but I can feel that expansion in my whole bodysuit. So breathe deep. Feel that whole torso trying to expand. Let's go 2 more big breaths. 1 more big breath. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly, gently release out of that. being gentle. Definitely felt that a little bit in that knee. So again, if you need yoga blocks to support that knee, go for it. And that was the glute series. So test them out. This 90-91, not going to be a comfortable position, but you got to be able to get into it. Our body is designed to be able to do that. So just practice, work your way up to it, and then figure out which glute muscle that you need to open up and just work at it. Good luck.